Checker walked off into the night, leaving Helping Hoof and the Diamond Dogs to their own devices for the time being. After a few moments of silence, Fido looked to Helping Hoof.
How pony knows scary magic?
Asks Fido, shuddering.
You mean her dream infiltration spell?
I think that actually might have been Helping Hoof.
It is.
It is.
Okay.
He's
The
doing an
voice.
Igor voice.
Yeah, I was going with an
Oh,
Igor voice
sorry.
this time.
It still sounded like a Diamond Dog for a
Yeah,
second.
they're very similar.
Okay.
I've
As
got to
Helping
voice
Hoof-
almost everybody. Give me some slack on voices sounding similar.
Oh no, sorry about that. Asked Helping Hoof, looking to the Diamond Dog. Rover nodded uneasily.
I don't know much about ponies, but I know I never see pony do that.
Helping Hoof sighed, looking rather sad.
Well, I don't know where she learned the spell itself, but I do know where she learned half of her method. She learned to control dreams from her grandmother, Helena Midsummer, just like Trixie has. Why?
Asked Spot, scratching his head.
Helena's trick is meant to let one control their own dreams, not the dreams of others.
Explained Helping Hoof.
She taught Checker for the same reason she taught Trixie, to deal with nightmares.
Rover blinked.
Scary pony have nightmares?
Helping Hoof gave a sad chuckle.
I know, it's surprising some pony like her would, but don't forget, she's still a flesh and blood pony. In many ways, that makes her even more frightening.
He continued.
As for why she learned her spell, imagine what it'd be like to have complete control over your dreams, to control that realm with a thought. Checker's a mare who desires one thing above all others: power. That desire is not an end of itself, a bad thing, but is why she became the way she is. She threw away everything she saw as an obstacle to obtaining her desire, until she became the mare you know now. She desires power even more than you three desire gems.
The three Diamond Dogs looked quite shocked.
And Diamond Dogs want all the gems.
Rover replied.
And Checker wants all the power she can get, and then some. I suppose the strong rule the weak mentality your father taught her, and Trixie worked too well in Checker's case.
Explained Helping Hoof, looking rather disturbed.
She is one of the most powerful ponies in Manhattan, but even that isn't enough. Her fortune is power. Her social status is power. At being the boss of her own company, one of Equestria's largest corporations, is power. But none of it is enough, just like having absolute power over the world of her dreams wasn't enough for her. So she found a spell to extend that power into the dreams of others.
He continued, looking somewhat scared.
Of all the kinds of power Checker has, the kind she covers the most is power over others. After all, she believes the strong have the right to control the weak, and that kind of power is exactly what her dream infiltration spells let her have. Because once she takes control over their dreams, they are at her mercy, and if they don't know the same trick her grandmother taught her, then there's nothing they can do about it until they wake up. And sometimes even that can't protect them.
The Diamond Dog shivered, now even more afraid of this power the mare possessed. Oh, damn it.
It's just one of many tools Checker Monarch has to maintain the power over others she craves so much, and is constantly learning more, but she can never have enough.
He explained, not seeming hateful. He sounded as what he described was something to be petted instead of hated. The Diamond Dogs looked at each other in confusion.
Why pony sad? Oh, just thinking. I'm not going to pretend Checker has a heart. When she had to choose between it and her lust for power, she chose her lust for power. And I imagine if he ever had a heart, Discord did the same thing with his when it came to his games.
All four, all four shuddered, each with different memories of that day.
It's just sometimes I wonder if someone who's traded away their heart can ever truly be happy. Anyway, that's personal feelings. On to the point. I think that's why she hates her sister so much.
Said the unicorn stallion, looking over towards the library.
She is jealous of her sister, but I think that is just the reason it's Trixie, and probably how it started, not the sole reason she does it now. Trixie is the one thing that Checker had been able to maintain power over almost her entire life. Since that poor mare was a foal, Checker's been controlling her life like a puppeteer every chance she got.
He revealed, looking as if you were recounting something from memory instead of second hoof.
The only way Trixie was able to cut her strings and live the life she wanted for herself was by leaving home and taking a profession that let her wander Equestria. And I think that Trixie was able to do that, ate away at Checker every day. The chess piece she'd been using since she was a filly had escaped her clutches. Now that she's got the chance to regain control over Trixie's life, I'm afraid of what she might do.
Rover looked horrified.
That's scary. Indeed it is.
Said Helping Hoof.
I think Trixie could bear it before because she still had power over Trixie in a way. Trixie was still following the ideas that Checker had indoctrinated into her. She was still the Trixie Checker had done her best to mold to her into. Now Trixie is starting to break free of that, and that's something Checker is unable to bear.
Helping Hoof sighed, suddenly looking like a beaten dog.
And I think another way she handled it originally was by finding a chess piece to replace the one she lost.
The Diamond Dogs looked at each other.
Who is that?
Asked Rover. Helping Hoof briefly looked back at his cutie mark sadly.
I don't want to talk about it.
He said, looking remorseful.
Just be glad when all is said and done, you stop being part of her game.
That sentence sent a chill down the three dogs' spines.
Trixie, come on, get up.
Said Twilight, trying to rise Trixie from the bed. Trixie slowly got up, looking down miserably.
Trixie is up.
Trixie, I know you're hurt, but you can't just lay around and pout. That won't solve anything.
Twilight said, teleporting up and putting a hoof on her shoulder. Trixie sighed.
Trixie is not giving up, Twilight. Trixie just wonders if this will actually work.
Twilight gave her as reassuring a smile as she could manage.
You'll never know if you don't try.
Trixie couldn't help smiling herself.
All right, your smile is rather contagious. Where's Trixie's first act of community service?
At the Cutie Mark Crusaders School, you'll be trimming some trees.
Explained Twilight, trying to sound reassuring. Trixie gave a sigh of relief.
At least it's near ponies Trixie knows don't hate her, and likely the two that helped her ruin her life.
The mare replied the last part in a deadpan voice.
Trixie, you can't scare the horse apples out of snips and snails.
Fine. And what about the teacher?
Miss Cheerling? I wish she wouldn't hold a grudge on you.
Said Twilight, sounding fairly positive.
How can you be so sure?
Because the Cutie Mark Crusaders gave her and Applejack's brother the Hearts and Hooves Day love poison once in a well-intentioned but ultimately disastrous attempt to make Big Macintosh Cheerly's special sun pony. She forgave them after giving them a proper punishment.
Trixie blinked.
What fool gave 3 fillies that recipe?
Twilight blushed.
I kind of gave them the book.
She replied, getting an incredulous look from Trixie.
I didn't expect them to actually use it. All you need to do is trim the tree limbs that are too flimsy to survive a storm, Trixie.
Said Truly, giving a smile.
Do you understand?
Trixie nodded, looking down at the gardening tools made for Earth Pony use, but her magic could do just as well. She told the others to go about their business. She didn't want ponies to give them grief because of her, or someone to accuse her of having help. Not that she'd take it anyway.
Trixie believes she understands. Thank you for giving Trixie a chance.
Truly nodded with a smile.
You're welcome, Trixie. When you're a teacher, you learn to give others second chances. How else are students to learn?
Trixie smiled lightly.
Thank you.
Truly nodded.
All right, well, I wish you luck.
She said, trotting off to prepare for her classes. Trixie picked up the limb trimmers with her telekinesis and prepared to begin when someone tapped her on the shoulder.
Hello?
A white unicorn mare with a blonde mane and tail was standing behind her. She wore sunglasses over her eyes, but her face still looked rather angry.
You're Trixie, right? You're Trixie, right?
The mare asked in a rather high-pitched voice with a sharp quality to it.
Yes, that's correct.
Trixie replied, cocking an eyebrow. The voice sounded familiar. There was just some quality in it that rung a bell. She peeked over at her flank to see a cutie mark of a starburst.
What do you want? Not that I like you or anything,
said the mare, reminding Trixie of some mares she'd seen at the mall. But the closer she looked, the more familiar the mare seemed. But she couldn't put her hoof on it. The mare got closer.
but here in Ponyville we have a rule. Unicorns doing public service for a crime can't use magic. You've got to do it the Earth Pony way around here.
Trixie gave a frustrated sigh.
Really? Really? And I mean it. You could get into big trouble,
said the mare with a sharp air to it. Trixie groaned.
Fine. Trixie won't use her magic,
said the unicorn, biting down on the mouthpiece used to operate the device by biting down to close the cutters.
Good, you better,
said the mare, turning and walking away, but not before looking back with a cold smirk once Trixie's back was turned.
So, Trixie's really out there?
asked Snips, peeking over at the mare as the foals were out in the playground before class. He didn't blink at the flash of Featherweight's camera, who as usual was simply photographing anything that interested him. He also noticed Dinky and Pipsqueak talking, occasionally giving glances in Trixie's direction.
Yeah,
replied Applebloom, looking uncertain.
but you might not want to talk to her right now.
Why?
asked Snails, blinking as he looked over.
Yeah, we just want to thank her for inspiring our magic act.
Snips replied, looking baffled.
It's, well...
Sweetie Belle started rubbing her head.
You kinda... took her story seriously and caused the accident that ruined her life.
Said Scootaloo, being the blunt one.
Though she admits it's her fault for lying in the first place, she might also still hold a grudge on you two.
Said Applebloom, rubbing her head.
I'd wait for things to settle down a bit. Yeah.
Said Snips, both him and Smells looking a bit guilty.
Look, I'm sure she'll forgive you.
Said Scootaloo.
She just needs time. She's going through a lot right now.
The two colts looked at each other, then to Trixie. The mare that Trixie had spoke with walked up to Helping Hoof.
I knew there was reason I kept you around, helping her.
Said the mare in Checker's voice. The stallion's horn glowed yellow as he broke the illusion spell on the mare, reverting her to Checker. Though her mane remained down, the spell fell off as if it were a costume, and it was clear the spell hadn't changed her body shape much at all.
Though, of course, the vocal change was all mine. No wonder Trixie can work in show business. There's nothing to it. Where did you learn that spell again?
Helping Hoof looked down, having a rather miserable look.
When I was training to work as a theater, as a cult.
Oh, yes, how could I forget? I remember how much you cried when your father pulled you out. A pity, really. You were really quite good at it.
Checker said, with her usual cold tone, despite what she said, making Helping Hoof lower his head almost to the ground.
It's quite useful, even if it can't change certain traits, and is only good for quick moments before they catch on.
She said, rearranging her mane back to its proper style. Then she reached behind her and pulled off the sticker of a starburst on a white backdrop from her flank, where it covered her cutie mark with her teeth.
Thank you for giving me that lovely excuse to buy these in bulk.
Helping Hoof cringed.
What do you say when someone thanks you?
You're welcome, Miss Monarch.
Good boy.
Said Checker, giving an icy smirk. She then turned and looked out at Trixie, who struggled to use the trimmers with her mouth.
Oh, Trixie, you've always been so easy to fool.
She said, giving a cold smirk.
What we do?
Asked Rover, looking up at the mare, now more terrified of her than ever after Helping Hoof's story.
Simple,
said Checker in a cold tone. She took out her chessboard and looked it over.
We follow her.
She closed the locket shut with a resounding snap.
And humiliate her.
She finished her tone as detached as could be. Trixie cut off several tree limbs that had gotten too long. It was hard going, her mouth hurt, but at least she was making progress.
Hello?
Trixie turned to see a little gray-purple unicorn filly with a yellow mane and golden eyes, next to her with a white earth pony colt with a brown mane and spots, one of which was over his left eye. Trixie set down the clippers gently.
Hello, filly and colt.
My name is Dink. Okay, go ahead.
My name is Dinky.
The filly replied.
And I'm Pipsqueak.
The colt chimed in. Trixie instantly recognized a Trottingham accent.
Dinky and Pipsqueak,
said Trixie, finding the names interesting. She noticed both foals were blank flanks. She hoped the poor things weren't being bullied for that reason.
Those are interesting names. Thanks,
said the little filly, seeming quite cheerful.
You're Trixie, right? Yes.
Trixie replied, slightly confused.
My mama said you did something really bad.
said Dinky, but before Trixie could cringe, the child gave a smile.
But she said you felt really bad about it.
Trixie blinked.
Yes, Trixie feels terrible for what she did. Trixie didn't want to hurt anyone.
Pipsqueak prepared to reply, but then blinked.
Pardon, but do you have a bee on your head? Huh?
Asked Trixie, looking up to see a bee had landed on her horn. She looked up further just in time for a beehive to land on her head. Oh, ow, ouch. Predictably, Trixie screamed as she was stung, as did Dinky and Pipsqueak, and Trixie ran around taking the bees with her right into the playground. Oh, God. Spot climbed down from the tree, looking to Checker.
Well done.
Checker said.
I knew I was doing the smart thing when I trusted you with that job.
She stated, handing the diamond dog some gems before watching the chaos the beehive stuck on Trixie's head caused as the panic mare ran around.
And this is just the opening acts.
Ugh. Trixie cringed, the bee sting still hurting, as she carefully held a stick in her mouth. She used to pick up trash off the streets of Ponyville. She was grateful she wasn't allergic.
At least Shirley wasn't mad at Trixie.
She muttered with a miserable sigh. A stallion threw a candy wrapper at her hooves, glaring at her as he passed. She gave another sigh.
That's the 6th time.
Checker watched from the shadows of a nearby alley with her group. Her chessboard out, about 15 ponies on her side, only Trixie on hers.
All the pawns moving just as I planned.
She said, giving an icy grin. Helping Hoof looked surprised.
But how can you have expected that?
Checker nonchalantly handed Helping Hoof the list he'd given her before.
I was rather busy last night.
Helping Hoof blinked, then his eyes widened in horror. The diamond dogs reacting much the same when it hit them. What happened?
You gave those ponies nightmares?
What else did you suppose I was doing last night?
Checker asked, not seeming to notice his horror or caring.
But those were innocent ponies who'd been hurt by the Ursa. I thought you were just going to pass out flyers to them.
Checker turned slowly and narrowed her eyes into a glare. Helping Hoof began shaking in his hooves, but couldn't look away.
Is that a problem, Helping Hoof?
She asked, stepping towards him, glaring with more intensity, making Helping Hoof break in a cold sweat. But her tone was conversational, almost friendly.
If it is, I can always fire you. I mean, sure, I'd have you blacklisted, but at least you'd still have your morals. Not that I need to blacklist a worthless.
No, Miss Monarch. There's no problem. None at all.
Interrupted Helping Hoof, still unable to break Checker Monarch's terrifying gaze. It was like he was mesmerized. Helping Hoof panted in terror, sinking into his flanks. Checker watched as the 8th pony threw a wrapper at Trixie's hooves. Without a change of expression, she telekinetically stretched the trash saddlebag that Trixie was wearing, slowly so as to not attract attention, until finally the weight of the garbage inside caused them to rupture and spill their contents everywhere around and on Trixie. Scootaloo groaned, looking at her bee stings, due to half the glass being stung by bees. Cheerily had postponed class until she could make sure none of them were allergic. It was her job, after all, to make sure that none of her students got hurt.
Well, that stunk.
The orange Pegasus stated.
For who?
Asked Applebloom, not seeming as bothered by her bee stings. After all, when they lived on the farm, getting stung wasn't anything unusual.
Trixie got humiliated again.
Yeah,
Sweetie Belle said, looking down.
and just when Dinky and Pip were saying something nice to her.
Skulu was about to say something when a hoof tapped her on the shoulder. She turned to see a lanky green Pegasus colt with a brown mane and a feather for a kitty mark.
Oh, hey, Featherweight, what is it?
The Pegasus handed them a couple pictures. Not speaking, Pipsqueak rarely spoke. Skulu assumed he was just shy. As the trio looked over the photos, Featherweight pointed to something in one of them.
I don't...
Sweetie Belle started, and all three gasped in shock.
Uh-oh.
Checker gave a small yawn. She looked rather frustrated.
I suppose all that dream hopping last night took its toll on me.
Humping Hoof gave a sigh of relief.
Helping Hoof.
The mare stated, causing Helping Hoof to jump.
Yes, Mr. Monarch.
Checker looked at him, giving an cold grin.
I'm going to take a nap. You are responsible for ruining Trixie's next community service attempt.
Me?
Asked Helping Hoof, shocked. Checker nodded, and don't
try anything funny. Because if Trixie spontaneously knows I'm here, I'll know who to blame.
She stated, getting Helping Hoof to gulp.
Same if I hear you didn't make a token effort in humiliating her.
She approached him. She continued, her voice not changing as she approached him.
Am I clear?
Crystal.
Checker then looked at the diamond dogs.
Oh, and I wouldn't recommend any of you trying anything either.
She said, her tone remaining perfectly level.
Because if you tell some pony I'm planning to ruin a mare's life, who do you think they're going to believe? The big, powerful mare from Manhattan, or the filthy subterranean canines who have a history of pony napping?
Rover and company gulped, giving a nod of understanding. Checker nodded, walking away slowly before looking back.
Oh, and just so you know, I'm a very light sleeper, so if you have any fantasies about kidnapping me in my sleep, you can forget it. And remember what I said I'd do if you double-crossed me.